welcome our next speaker, who's going to tell us why we're not too young to have nostalgia. Please welcome the girl who puts the right in writing, Anna Wright.
Holy guacamole in 10 minutes. Okay, got this. Alright, childhood memories. Today we're going to explore why nostalgia is a thing. Why is it that all of a sudden in the middle of a math class we can have a vivid image pop into our head of us riding down the sidewalk on our purple tricycle, or suddenly the theme song of the show we watched when we were like 5 comes into our head and we're like, whoa, what just happened? Nostalgia, it's a huge factor. It's why when we put in a VHS, we're a lot more satisfied with our crackly Disney movie because, you know, it's now a Blu-ray disc, but it's our childhood. You know, it's a thing. And also, why they so randomly appear, what causes that? So first, I have a story. My grandmother visited us last week, and she decided to take us to her neighborhood in Trenton, New Jersey. Now, this neighborhood looked like it hadn't been touched for 65 years. And that's how long it was since she'd been there. She's 77, still sharp as a whip, she's so great. And we were walking through, and she was describing all that it had. Like, there were a few houses built here and there, but they still looked pretty dilapidated, and everything was just very still. It seems as if time had frozen. And she described perfectly Jimmy Allen moved down the street, where she had collected newspapers and scraps of metal before the Great Depression. It was amazing, and as I was listening to her, I was wondering how she retained all these memories, and so that is kind of what sparked a lot of this project. So, let's get technical. Let's talk about the brain first. I learned a bunch of awesome scientific mumbo-jumbo for this project, which I will only describe briefly to you so you don't get completely bored. But basically, the brain is an amazing thing, and as we're very young, the brain is developing and develops neurons. And these neurons are developing at such a rapid rate that we could not even comprehend it. And because of this, how we learn, how we process things as we're younger is an integral part of us. And between these neurons are things called synapses, which are electrical connections, which leap, I love that, they leap in between the neurons in our brain. And as we learn more and more things, those synapses strengthen, and those connections become a part of us, especially if you watch the same dang TV show like Dora the Explorer. You hear that theme song, you're going to start singing it. That is a part of you. You know. It's great. Alright, so, and that. Alright, next is implicit and explicit memory. Implicit memory, I know you're all chattering about your favorite TV shows. We'll get to that later. That's part of the presentation, okay? Implicit memory is what's instinct, what's a part of us. You know, you brush your teeth every day and it's just a robotic motion. You don't notice it because you've been doing it over and over. It's a repetitious thing that's within you. Or it's something instinctive like, if I'm going to fall, I'm going to automatically write myself like that because it's an instinct, it's part of me. Explicit memory is trying to remember every dang trigonometric, what's the word, function in your math class while trying to concentrate and learning those formulas over and over. It's a conscious effort that you have to do with your mind. That is explicit learning. When you adapt something, and then eventually, you know, like they say, riding a bike, it becomes part of your implicit memory. The frontal lobe is what develops most, as well as the hippocampus, when you're very young. The frontal lobe is what brings conscious thought to mind. That is what you access when you're trying to make a decision. And the hippocampus is what processes that information. Those both develop very early on and are a very key part in memories. So, has anyone seen The Sound of Music? Yeah? No? Wow, you like, yeah, me. It's a great movie, you should be proud. Whenever we hear those songs, if we're familiar with them, or any musical for that matter that you're comfortable with, if you start hearing a song, you're gonna complete it in your mind. Alright, so just click on them, but you, like when I say like stop, you can just stop, because some of them are longer, but they don't need to be because we're, so go ahead, click. Alright, so, this is some jazz for like 20s, right? You can stop. This will probably not trigger anything in your head. Oh, you can go. Sorry. still playing over top of it. But when you hear that, actually, because you've heard that dang song over and over and over on the radio, your mind, it's still playing, goes into a process, and this is actually a term called an earworm, where it will continue that sequence of sound. It will continue that, hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, you know, because it's heard it so many times that automatically completes that song for you. Now we don't have to play it, the reason why this is such a factor is, oh wait, not there yet, is because music is such a humongous part of our learning when we're young. And the reason for this is because there are patterns, alliteration, there's a rhythm to it. It's an integral part of us. Which is why, you know, minstrels and bards, they would pass along things through song. When you see this baby, your automatic reaction, yeah, it's like, oh. You know what's fascinating? That is an integral part of it. The reason your voice shifts up to a higher pitch and you use elongated vowels like, you are so cute, is because unconsciously you are helping that baby to learn. You're helping its developmental process. That is why music is such an effective tool in learning, because of elongated vowels, higher ranges, what? Your mind is blown. So it's amazing because we are helping, and that's why kids shows are such a huge thing. Look at that, Sesame Street. Tell me you can get this down right there. An awesome part also of how we learn is if you were surrounded, let's say, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, anyone? Great movie. If you have a culture where you grew up in a group, you remember things more collectively, whereas perhaps if you're an only child, you'll have more singular memories of your childhood, and they might even be more vivid. And distractions and processing. That's, Josephson, he's a great comedian. And emotions. So these two things I want to talk about. If you're distracted while you're processing something, you're probably not processing it. If the TV is on, you're doing your math homework, it'll go into something called your sensory memory, which takes these images and it'll only have them there for maybe like a good 2 minutes, and then they're erased. It's your momentary memory. Childhood memories are much longer lasting, which is why they can go into your long-term memory, because you process them better, and that's why random things pop up in your head, because those synapses can take out what has been stored there. The reason why we don't retain a lot of our childhood memories sometimes is because of a faulty retrieval factor. It's not that they aren't stored in the brain, it's just we can't access them, because those things deteriorate over time. And then the connections grow stronger in our teenage years, which is why we can have such vivid recollections of events. And again, emotions. Emotions can greatly strengthen the synapses, which is why you may remember, you know, there's something traumatic in your childhood, like you fell and broke your knee and it was really sad. Or you missed your favorite TV show, Blue's Clues, that was on that afternoon. Why do I remember that? I was like 7, it was great. But it's a big part. Or if you get an excess of these bad emotions, non-epinephrine, that's the name of the chemical, it can actually lead to the shutting down, the breaking of those synapses in your head, because your mind wants to block out what happened, which is why sometimes traumatic childhoods, they don't recollect a lot of their events that happen. Faulty retrieval, like I said before, like as soon as he's great. Retrieval over time, the reason the mind deteriorates, it isn't like some people think it's an overall process, but in reality it can just be one factor in the assembly line of all those synapses that can cause loss of your memory. Things that we associate, everyone pretty much loves cookies. I don't know why you wouldn't. It brings good memories, brings memories of home and warmth and goodness, because we associate that with things in our childhood. For me personally, lighthouses are a huge factor of my childhood. I used to spend a lot of it in Maine. So different things can trigger what we have. And our parents, again, play a huge role in how we remember things and how we grow up and develop. Another fascinating thing is words. Once words become a factor in our lives, we're able to interpret things so much better and give them a concrete basis. So in essence, what I want to take from this, it was kind of just an exploration of nostalgia and childhood and what it means to us and why it means so much to us. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.